Hold on tight, because what I'm about to tell you will flip everything you thought you knew about major sports deals. Imagine this. Nike, the global titan of sportswear, just dropped a staggering $1 billion, that's a B for billion, simply to plaster their famous swoosh on MLB baseball jerseys. $1 billion for a tiny logo. But here's where it gets truly wild, and honestly, a little scandalous. What if I told you that despite paying all that money, Nike didn't even make those jerseys themselves? This isn't just about a logo, it's about a hidden truth behind one of sport's biggest partnerships. So here's the core of what blew up. Back in 2020, Nike, a name synonymous with athletic excellence and premium gear, inked a monumental billion-dollar deal with Major League Baseball. This wasn't just any sponsorship. It was supposed to be a groundbreaking partnership, elevating the look and feel of America's pastime. But what the passionate baseball fans, and even the players themselves, didn't fully grasp at the time was the underlying controversy brewing right beneath the surface of this massive money move. Despite the hype and the hefty price tag, a shocking truth emerged. Those highly anticipated new jerseys, emblazoned with the iconic Nike swoosh, weren't actually being manufactured by Nike at all. And to make matters worse, they were quickly becoming infamous because the players who had to wear them on the field absolutely hated them. To truly understand this billion-dollar blunder, or perhaps a genius move, depending on how you look at it, we need to rewind the clock. For decades, the landscape of MLB uniforms was dominated by one name: Majestic Athletic. From the early 2000s, Majestic was the undisputed king of baseball jerseys. Their work was legendary, known for their clean, classic designs, robust stitching, and a commitment to quality that players and fans alike had come to expect. When you pulled on a Majestic jersey, you felt the history, the tradition of the game. There were no prominent brand logos disrupting the aesthetic, just pure, unadulterated baseball. This was the era of the stitched logo, the weighty fabric, the jerseys built to withstand the rigors of a 162-game season. Majestic was more than just a supplier. They were an integral part of the game's identity, a silent partner in countless iconic moments. They held the official licensing rights, ensuring that every player on every team wore a uniform crafted with meticulous attention to detail. This stable, long-standing relationship was the norm, a quiet understanding of how things worked in professional baseball. But as the 2010s drew to a close, whispers began to circulate. The world of sports branding was evolving, and big corporations were looking for even bigger stages. And that's precisely when the traditional, comforting familiarity of the Majestic era came to an abrupt end. Everything, and we mean everything, changed in 2020 when the biggest sportswear giant in the world decided it wanted a piece of America's national pastime. The stage was set for a new chapter, one that would redefine uniforms, brand presence, and ultimately, fan and player expectations. So, how much are we talking about here, and who really paid whom? In a landmark agreement that reshaped the entire landscape of professional baseball apparel, Nike didn't just sign a deal. They bought an unprecedented level of exposure. They paid Major League Baseball a colossal $1 billion over a 10-year period to become the exclusive provider of all on-field uniforms, starting in 2020. To put that into perspective, this figure was estimated to be at least 3 times more than what previous long-term supplier, Majestic Athletic, ever commanded for their uniform deals. It was an astronomical sum that immediately turned heads across the sports and business worlds. Now, here's the crucial twist, the part that makes this deal a masterclass in modern branding. MLB didn't pay Nike a single cent to make these jerseys, quite the opposite. Nike was the one writing the checks, pouring $1 billion directly into MLB's coffers. On the surface, it might seem counterintuitive, almost like Nike was losing money on the deal. Why would a company pay such an exorbitant amount just to give uniforms away, especially when they weren't even manufacturing them in-house? This is where the real genius, or perhaps the cunning, of Nike's strategy comes into play. From Nike's perspective, this wasn't about jersey sales or manufacturing profits from the uniforms themselves. This was about something far more valuable in the long run: unparalleled brand visibility and a shocking return on investment, ROI, that few traditional advertising campaigns could ever hope to match. By embedding their iconic swoosh on every single MLB player, every single game, every single broadcast, Nike secured a marketing advantage that transcended the simple transaction of goods. They paid $1 billion, but they were about to get billions back in exposure. As the 2020 season dawned and players finally stepped onto the field in their brand new Nike-branded uniforms, the immediate reaction wasn't excitement. It was an explosion of outrage. The internet, particularly Twitter, lit up with scathing critiques and hilarious memes. Fans, accustomed to the robust quality of Majestic, were quick to notice the glaring drop in standards. They trashed the new uniforms, calling them TJ Maxx material, cheap, and even comparing them to practice jerseys. But it wasn't just the fans. The most damning criticisms came directly from the players themselves, the very athletes expected to wear these uniforms daily. Reports flooded in of ill-fitting designs, low-quality fabrics, and significant visual problems. Pitchers complained about restrictive movement, while fielders found the material less breathable. The most scandalous visual flaw? The pants. Players and viewers alike quickly pointed out that the new uniform pants were so thin and see-through, they left little to the imagination. One player famously quipped that the pants made them look censored in photos, leading to widespread embarrassment and further online mockery. This wasn't just a design misstep. It was a PR nightmare unfolding live on national television, fueling the fire of a rapidly growing controversy. So, if Nike paid $1 billion and these jerseys were so bad, what exactly was going on behind the scenes? This is where the story gets even more complex and reveals the true puppet masters pulling the strings. Because here's the bombshell: Nike doesn't actually manufacture these MLB jerseys themselves. They simply design them and license their brand. The actual heavy lifting, the manufacturing, the intricate logistics, the shipping, and even controlling a massive portion of the licensed sports merchandise market is handled by a different titan altogether: Fanatics. Fanatics, a company valued at an astonishing $31 billion, isn't just an online retailer, they are a supply chain and logistics beast. They've aggressively acquired manufacturing plants, warehousing facilities, and licensing agreements across virtually every major sports league. Nike's strategy was simple. They wanted their swoosh on the jerseys, but they didn't want the headache or the capital expenditure of producing millions of units. So they outsourced the entire production chain to Fanatics. This little-known manufacturing secret explains a lot: the perceived drop in quality, the generic feel, and why a premium brand like Nike would put their name on something so widely criticized. It wasn't Nike quality, because, well, it wasn't really made by Nike. Given the controversy, the player complaints, and the fan outrage, you might be asking, was this a colossal waste of $1 billion for Nike? Absolutely not. In fact, for Nike, this deal remains a masterclass in modern branding and advertising value. Forget the manufacturing. Nike's primary objective wasn't to sell jerseys directly to fans or even to ensure player comfort, though that helps. Their ultimate goal was unparalleled logo placement and brand exposure. Think of it this way: every time an MLB player steps onto the field, their uniform becomes a moving billboard for Nike. With every pitch, every swing, every highlight reel, that iconic swoosh is front and center. Studies have shown that Nike's logo is visible on screen for an astounding 243,000 hours every single MLB season. To put that into perspective, that's the equivalent of getting 486,000 30-second television commercials for free. No traditional ad campaign, no matter how expensive, could ever achieve that kind of consistent organic visibility. The $1 billion Nike paid was effectively an investment in the most pervasive long-term advertising campaign imaginable, ensuring their brand remained synonymous with elite athletics, regardless of who stitched the fabric. So there you have it, the full story behind Nike's controversial $1 billion MLB deal. What initially seemed like a straightforward partnership spiraled into a debate about quality, manufacturing, and the true cost of brand influence. We saw the immediate backlash from fans and players, the reveal of the hidden manufacturing giant, Fanatics, and ultimately, the cold, hard strategic brilliance behind Nike's seemingly flawed investment. It forces us to ask a fundamental question about the modern sports industry and the power of global brands. Was this truly a $1 billion mistake that tarnished Nike's reputation? Or was it, in fact, the smartest branding move of the decade, a calculated gamble that paid off in invaluable exposure?